Hi, everybody. We are off to a fast start with our class about on e-learning. So I want to thank everybody for all the introductions and everything that have gone through there. It's been a very busy room. That's fantastic. And I wanted to jump in on this discussion because I just finished a project where rapid prototyping was the way we went to develop the training. And there's a few things uh, that you want to know as you go through the process. And this was kind of the process that I went through. So it's kind of a practical application. So basically, you go through the reason why we picked rapid prototyping is because we had an article that was the article itself was a prototype. So we had to design things knowing that there were going to be changes. So as we learned from what we developed, the training would change as well. So we had to do that. And when you do that, you really need to know, you really need to nail down what you want to get out from the training at each step and when these points are going to be where changes are going to be made. If it's in the manufacturing process, they're a little bit easier to figure out where those changes are going to occur because you know when milestones are hit and reworks and all that come into play. So the best advice that I could give is be very much in contact with the manufacturing people or anybody else when you're using the rapid prototyping. And you're also going to be looking at costs because you know you're going to be changing it quite a bit. You don't want to dump a lot of cost in right up front until you know what's going to be the final product, and then you can put in the money that it takes to make something refined, defined, and picture perfect. Doesn't mean the training's not good when you develop rapid prototype. It's actually quite the opposite. Sometimes because you're keeping it simple, you actually get better results from the training. Like in this case, we looked at what we needed and then immediately defined the objective, so what the learner needed to learn. But more importantly, we looked at the best way that the learner could learn. We had to have it e-learning because people were distributed at different areas, so that was the focus. If that's not the focus, you could then decide on how it's going to be. But in this case, we were given that the orders, if you will. So it had to be e-learning. So we saw what the objectives are. We created the objectives. We didn't see what they were. We created them, and we created them while working with the manufacturing folks. So that gives you an extra level of success because when they start helping you define what people need, then guess what? They buy into the process. So that's very important. And when we did it, we looked at okay, how would the learner learn this the best? That's probably the key question because if you start with asking yourself, what do I need to tell them, or what do they need to know? Then you get into more of a lecture scenario where we said, okay, how would they learn to do this the best? And we were able to put something up quickly, simply, and it worked. And that was the rapid prototyping. We went through the ADDIE model using rapid prototyping. So it was more of a hybrid, if you will. But that's how we did it. It worked. And we know that in about 2 months, there's going to be some changes to it. We're not sure how big those changes are going to be yet, but that's the what we do with rapid prototyping. And when they say things like you put a band-aid over it or you do things like that, you're just being quick and effective because with rapid prototyping, you really need the effect quick and you need it to happen. So it actually helps your design sometimes to think from that perspective. So I hope that helps. Hope it wasn't too much rambling because they were just a stream of consciousness thoughts. So and I'm enjoying reading that what everybody's put down so far, and I'll pipe in with some written comments as well.